Hello. Today I wanted to show you what I'm going to be eating in a day. I think that is really useful to a lot of people to kind of know what other people are doing, kind of what their options are, maybe what some different things are that they can have, some ideas that maybe they hadn't thought of yet. And so I'd love to share these kind of videos. It is 5/8 of 24 today. Just I find that information useful when I watch videos, and so that's why I'm provided it into mine. My plan for today is to get some beef brisket from a local barbecue place. I'm going to be getting the fatty end so that I have plenty of fat in my meal. But I do like to have something kind of fresh and crisp to go with it. So I'm going to have some slaw that I'm going to whip up, and I'm going to show you how I do that in this video. My plan for later today, I usually eat 2 meals a day. Um, but it depends on how filling my first meal is. My second meal might be more of like a snack rather than a full meal. But if I do have a full meal, it will be a creamy pork chop meal unless I feel like something different. So if I have that, I will for sure show you how to make that. And if not, I will tell you what else I am eating today. So I will show you how I am whipping up my slaw. I am doing this earlier than my when I'm going to eat because I want it to kind of like the flavors to meld together and to soften up my cabbage a bit. I'm going to start by putting on some gloves because I am going to be using a poblano pepper in this. I have some poblano peppers on hand. I do like to have a little bit of a kick in my slaw with my brisket, so that's why I am wearing gloves. We want to wear gloves when we are working with hot peppers. Poblano peppers aren't always hot, but they can be, and so I just want to make sure that I am being safe because I don't want to be touching other things with that hot oil on my skin. All right, so I've got some red cabbage here that I have on hand. That's really why I am making this, is because I am just using what I have on hand to make a side dish to go with my meal. I did not buy any of these ingredients with the intent to like make this specific slaw today. And I'm just going to cut myself off. I'm actually going to make 2 portions of slaw because I know I'm going to have leftovers. So I'm going to eat 1 portion today and then the other portion probably tomorrow or the next day. All right. So just however, I'm looking to get about 2 cups of it chopped. So that's kind of why I have chosen this amount, because about 1 cup is going to be 1 portion for me. I got a bad leaf there. So I'm just going to chop this up. You could use a mandolin. That's probably faster, but to me the cleanup takes longer, and so I don't like to do that. And then I'm just going to go through and just rough chop it. And you can kind of just do, big or small, however you kind of want it to be. I don't get too picky about it. I actually tend to eat more with spoons than I do with forks. So I don't worry too much about like being able to like have big enough pieces to say like fit on my fork, like to be able to like, stab it and get some. Because I do just use a spoon a lot because I feel like it's just the best tool for the job. Like it's so much easier sometimes. Like green beans, rather than like trying to poke each one, I just use a spoon and scoop some up. Not a big deal. All right, so there's my cabbage. And I do have a little bowl here. This might be a little more than 2 cups, but that's okay. I do track my food, and I keep track of like my macros. I'm only about a month into this diet, so I don't feel like I am really like ready to be able to just like wing it and know, oh yeah, I've only had, say less than 20 grams of carbs. And I really, for me, I try to keep it at 20 or less, but I don't have a problem if I go up to 50. I find that I still stay in ketosis. I don't have a ton of extra ketones, but I still stay in ketosis. And then it just gives me that freedom where I don't feel like I'm so restricted. I can have carbs and feel okay with that. Having up to 50, but really I would try to keep it between like 30 and 40. 50 would be a little uncomfortable for me. But for the most part, I really keep it around 15. I mean, just naturally, that's what I do by the foods that I want to eat. I just have that freedom to go up to 50 if I want. All right, so I've got this is about half of a poblano pepper that I just had on hand because I used it for something else. And so I'm just going to dice this up. I do try to get these fairly small, just because getting like a big bite of like a big chunk of it can be unpleasant sometimes, right? Especially if it's pretty spicy. So I do kind of get it a little bit finer in my chop. Okay, so I got that part done. Now I want to add some cilantro. Again, just because I have it on hand and I really love cilantro. It's delicious. So I'm just going to take a bit of it and bundle it all up and run my knife through it. And again, you could just, cut this into whatever sizes you want. I know some people really like it like the whole leaves, so they'll just like pick off the leaves, and that's fine. I don't really care for that, so I chop mine up, but I don't always chop it up very fine. Okay, there we go. Then I've got some lemon juice I'm going to put in here and some mayonnaise. So I've got my juicer here. I've got half a lime that I have left over from something else, the same something that I used the poblano pepper and the cilantro for. I don't remember what it was, but oh, it was a chipotle butter shrimp. Yes, that's what it was. All right, so I'm just going to squeeze half my lime because that's what I have. If I had a whole lime, I might squeeze the whole thing in, but I don't. Okay, and then I want some mayonnaise and some seasonings. I've got kind of a mess here, and I am one who likes to clean up after myself right away. I just don't like the feeling of being in a mess, and so I'm always cleaning up as I go. All right, get some stuff out of my way. I need some black pepper. I'm just gonna sprinkle a bit in. I do kind of like black pepper, so I put in a little bit more. I would say it's probably a quarter to a half teaspoon. And some of my pink Himalayan salt. And I do kind of salt this fairly heavily. So it's probably half teaspoon that I've got in there. And then I'm going to add just a few more seasonings to kind of round it out. I'm going to start with my onion powder, just a quarter teaspoon of that. And a quarter teaspoon of my garlic powder. And a half teaspoon of my ground cumin. I like cumin. I'm just going to use my quarter teaspoon twice because then I don't have to dirty another dish. And I don't like to do dishes, so there you go. And then finally, my mayonnaise, which I need a spoon. I want to put in about a quarter cup. So I could measure it out, but I'm pretty good at telling what a quarter cup is. I do a lot of cooking. So about a quarter cup. And then I'm just going to get these all mixed together. I want to make sure that I'm getting that lime juice that's settling in the bottom. I want to make sure that that is getting all mixed in too. Oh shoot, you know what I forgot? I forgot my chai seeds. I add seeds to a lot of my meals, and chai seeds in particular to a lot of my meals. Um, to make sure that I'm getting enough fiber. You're supposed to have, I believe it's between like 30 and 40 grams of fiber a day. There's no way I can get that. But the average American gets, I'm using 2 tablespoons of chai seeds. The average American gets about 15 to 20 grams of fiber in their diet. And I never had like digestive issues before. So I'm just aiming to make sure that I get at least 15 grams of fiber a day, which is hard to get when you're eating so much like meat and fat and protein, right? And so that's why I add my seeds in. I do really like chai seeds in that they don't really add any flavor. And if you like, so I'm going to let this marinate, right, until I'm ready to eat it. And so it'll kind of absorb some of those in of like the liquids. It'll absorb it. And then you almost don't even know that the seeds are there except that like they get stuck in your teeth. All right, so I'm going to give this a try and see if I need to add anything. That is perfect. And I wouldn't normally double dip, but I'm the only one eating it, so it's okay. All right. I do actually think I want just a little bit more pepper in it. All right, so then I'm just going to cover this. I'm going to put it in my refrigerator. Once I'm ready to eat, I will eat it with my brisket. So I will talk to you guys later. So this is my finished meal. Well, I mean, it's gone now. I ate it. It's 4 ounces of the fatty side of a brisket, although it is a little more on the leaner side of it. There's not as much fat as I'm used to having with the brisket that I usually get from the fatty end. And then I've got about a cup and a half of the slaw that I made, and it was very good. I would change it a little bit. I would add more poblano, more cilantro, and more lime juice. The poblano and the cilantro are easy. I could have added them in. I was worried about the poblano just being a little too spicy. Was kind of my worry there, but I find that it was not very spicy at all, and I could almost hardly tell that it was there. And the lime juice, if I had had another half of that lime, I would have definitely put it in. I probably should have just taken some like pre-squeezed lime juice that I had in the fridge and added a little more in. But it was fine. It was good. I ate it all. I am very, very full. It was about 475 calories, and I am so full that I don't know that I will be able to eat today. Although I really should. You're supposed to have about 1,200 calories a day just to keep yourself your body like functioning normally. Um, so that is, I wanted to point out that I'm really full because I want you to understand what keto does for you. And it's why so many people lose so much weight on keto is for one, they go into ketosis, right? So they're starting to burn their fat and not their carbs. But also you're just not as hungry. You can't eat as much because you're full, you're satisfied. To feel this way before keto, I would have had to eat like 1,000 to 1,500 calories to be like so full, like I almost feel a little sick because I am so very full. And I kind of did that on purpose. I could have stopped eating sooner. I could have not eaten like the last like 4 bites. But I choose to do that sometimes. One, just so I don't have to like do everything like to know how many carbs or um fat or whatever that I had. Like I ate everything I said I was going to eat and I don't have to go back and do that work. But also like I I'm not to the point where I really am sick. Like I am so full. And so like I probably won't eat again today and that's okay, right? If I'm getting myself to that point where I don't feel like I need to eat anymore, then okay, that's great. I don't have any problems with that. So sometimes I will kind of eat those last few bites that I just, are kind of like, oh, I don't know, I'm pretty full, but I'll still just eat those last few bites. Not always. Sometimes it's like, no, I just can't do it. I am just too full and I don't want to feel sick. So I'm gonna go ahead and just toss the rest of, my meal out. Um, it also took me a long time to eat. So it took me about 45 minutes to eat that meal. And I was hungry. I ate at 2 o'clock and I had not eaten today. I had had my coffee, which is just black coffee with a quarter cup of whole milk in it. That's what I have every morning with my coffee. Um, and that's all that I had had today. And I was hungry, right? Like I was like glad to be able to eat something because I was hungry, but I wasn't like starving. I wasn't like shoveling the food in my mouth as fast as I could because I was so hungry, right? Like, no, I just like ate as long as it took me to eat, and it took me about 45 minutes, and I am very full and very satisfied. So that was my lunch today. It is dinner time. It's 8 o'clock in the evening, and I know I'm going to be kind of getting ready for bed, doing some work on my computer, settling in kind of for the evening. So I wanted to eat something before that happens. I'm not real hungry, so I am not making the pork chops and cream sauce that I was going to make. I'm just going to have some sunflower kernels and some flaxseed. And really, I'm only adding the flaxseed for just a bit more uh, fiber in my diet. They're kind of they're not the best on their own. So that's why I like to have them mixed with my sunflower kernels because then they're just kind of like in the mix and you don't really even kind of notice them. So I am having a quarter cup. And like I said, I do track everything. So I will measure it out. And it's not because I'm trying to be strict with myself, it's just because I want my data to be correct. So I've got my quarter cup of sunflower kernels, and then I'm going to add in a tablespoon of my flaxseed. Here we go. And this is, let's try this. This is my dinner for tonight, which seems kind of sad. Actually, the very first time that I had this for dinner, my husband was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so sad. I just want to cry for you." But it's what I want. I could have a whole other meal like I had earlier today. I could have that meal all over again. I just don't want it. So, this is what I have eaten for today. I do need to have my body armor, so I'll be having that and this, and then that's all the food that I'm having today. I had my brisket and slaw for lunch, and then I had my seeds for dinner. And so I have entered all of that into my fat secret. As we can see here, I had a total of 9.23 carbs today, which is fantastic. I did only have 11 fiber. I do like to get to between 15 and 20, but most days I do get to between 15 and 20. So, like one day of it being a little low, I'm okay with. And my macros look really good. My percentage of protein is 17. So, I want to keep that under 20. So that is also fantastic. So I had a really good day today. This is what I ate on my keto diet in a day, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow.